see. All right, we are live. I'll send you a link.
Yay.
Hold on. Stop sharing. Okay. Can you send out the text?
Yep.
Hold on, folks. Hold on. Farewell. Upload thumbnail. Debate. Final debate. 222. Let us know if you could hear us. Let us know if you could see us.
Hello, friends. Debate time.
222. Okay. Putting in the 10. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, presidential debate. Okay. 2020 coronavirus update, COVID-19, mask, NAFTA, all that. Okay. Choo-choo-choo. Oh, great. We have 2 live streams showing up right now.
Oh my God, how?
I don't know.
I didn't think it would allow that.
I don't know. All right. We got 34 people watching. Keep pressing that like button. Get it out to more people. Sorry if Jen's screen doesn't look amazing, but we were having some tech difficulties, so bear with us. I think now I only see one stream. Good. I'm glad you only see one stream. So, Jen, we were going to have a full hour, but because of technical difficulties, we got this. What is your expectations for this final debate?
I don't know. I was actually in which, oh, this is going to be Trump's last debate. So that's kind of exciting. It's the last debate in 2020. So that's kind of exciting. On the other hand, I'm so ready for this to be over. There are some interesting elements tonight, like the muting the the candidate who is not speaking. They're going to mute their microphones. Trump hates that idea, so it'll be interesting to see. Like Trump will probably just yell what he wants to say, microphone or not. So I don't know. We'll see. They've gone out on stage and said hello. So yeah, we'll see.
Isn't that bad? Isn't that bad when I forget to unmute myself? What I was saying,
I
what
know.
I was saying, I
do
forgot to
that.
unmute myself. We are not going to show the debate. We don't want to get any copyrights or anything like that. So you'll have to watch somewhere else while staying here because we're going to be commenting throughout the debate. So I'll be watching. Jen will be watching. You guys watch.
Yeah.
And I'll be commenting. Jen will be commenting throughout. We'll point out the lies. We'll point out the ridiculous things said. We'll point out the dodges. We will bash the moderator, who I'm sure will be terrible because she's a corporate media journalist.
Yeah.
So stick with us. We are going to be commenting throughout.
Ooh.
I think the only way Trump can get back in this thing, and it's about to start, I think the only way that Trump can get back in this thing is if he hammers Biden. Frankly, I don't really think most people care about Hunter Biden, even though I think there's something there. I think he's got to hammer Biden on NAFTA, on TPP, on Biden selling out workers in the Midwest where Trump needs to win some of those states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, on the fact that if you put Biden in there, you're getting the TPP. He's going to ship more of your jobs offshore. Trump did none of this in the first debate because he was performing some unhinged Houdini act. If he starts hammering Biden with those blue-collar, working-class issues, even though he's a phony populist, speaking of Trump, he might have somewhat of a chance. If he gets into he's a socialist Trojan horse and Hunter Biden, he's not going to grow. So let's see. It looks like they haven't come out yet on the feed I'm watching. Jen, are we watching? Yeah.
Yep. Nope, they're not out yet.
They haven't come out yet.
Right now, the commentators are just watching the empty stage.
Apparently,
I have CNN on in the back.
Apparently, Trump has brought Hunter Biden's business partner as a guest. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, so far I don't know if it's like legit, but just like he brought out Bill Clinton's supposed like women that he allegedly raped or had affairs with or whatever, when Trump paraded them all out in front of Hillary at a debate. This is his version of that for 2020. So this former business partner of Hunter Biden's that has these pretty juicy text messages between he and Hunter Biden, talking about old Joe. Good old, but a big guy or something like that.
Well, basically, the text messages, which again, just like the emails, the Biden campaign has not said they're not authentic. They haven't challenged the emails either. The text messages indicate that somebody in the deal that Hunter Biden or was working with Hunter Biden was text messaging, don't talk about Joe here and his involvement. We could only talk about Joe Biden in person, but insinuating that Joe Biden is somehow involved, but we can't talk about it through text. The Biden family, is very touchy on that. So we shall see. I did a whole hour, I don't know if you saw it, on the fact that to me, I think there is selective censorship on this story. I think that the media ran with much more dubious Russiagate stories for 5 years based on anonymous intelligence sources, in some cases one source. They didn't block those stories from being shared. They didn't block you from sharing it or posting it on Twitter. They didn't hide it on Facebook because those stories were actually damaging to Trump. In this case, they're censoring a story when, remember, Biden himself did not strongly come out and say, I never met with this Ukrainian Burisma executive. All they said was, well, we don't have it on the schedule, which is your classic Washington non-denial denial. That's what that is. So Biden also did not challenge the authenticity of the email. But to me, even if it is true, which I think it probably is, it's not going to change anything. It's not breaking news that Joe Biden is corrupt. And that also doesn't mean that Donald Trump isn't incredibly corrupt, racist, dangerous. So that's why I think it will be a waste for Trump to spend a lot of time on Hunter Biden. He's probably got Fox News hosts like Hannity and Republican consultants telling him to do so. But Trump needs to go back to what elected him. Hammer Biden the same way he hammered Hillary Clinton on trade, NAFTA, globalization, and offshoring jobs. That's the only way that Trump will be able to get back in this thing. So
candidates have just walked out on the debate stage. Just
and
so you
another
guys
announcement,
know.
Please, as you party with Jen and I tonight, leave some super chats. We really need your support. Hit us up in the super chat. I know there's a lot of live streams on right now. I promise you ours will be the best. So sorry
Ours
for
is
Jen's
the best.
framing. I spent an hour trying to frame her correctly. It didn't quite work out. So but we like we said, we're not going.
Oh, by the way, I was just going to clear up the name of the business partner, Tony Bobulinski.
Yes.
I think we
All
got
right.
it in wrong.
The debate's starting,
Tony.
so we're going to start watching it, and we will be commenting throughout. So I guess the best you can have us on while listening to debate elsewhere. By the way, the Status Coup Discord is active. So if you're a member, we could also chat in the Discord. We got a lot of things going on. So we'll get, I'm going to go watch the debate now.
And guys, still smash the like button. Let people know that we're live. Thank you for the super chat, DID99. Awesome.
We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China. It's a worldwide pandemic all over the world.
Trump, of course, starting out by hitting China
If you notice,
on coronavirus.
rate is down 85%. The excess mortality rate is way down, much lower than almost any other country. And we're fighting it, and we're fighting it hard. There is a spike. There was a spike in Florida. It's now gone. There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone. There's a very big spike in Arizona. There were some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone. We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered.
Trump is still saying that this vaccine is going to be ready within weeks, but they've had to stop these trials. A couple of them, I believe.
I had it, and I got that. And I will tell you that it's something that therapeutic, as they would call it. Some people would say it was a cure, but I was in for a short period of time, and I got better very fast. So I wouldn't be here tonight. And now they say I'm immune. Whether it's 4 months or a lifetime, nobody's been able to say that. But I'm immune.
And guys, just so you know, the reason we're not actually showing the debate itself is because for copyright reasons, we're being very cautious, because if you are an OG, then you know that we were hit with a copyright violation for having, I think it was a town hall or something streaming from CNN, and we got hit, and we were not able to go live for 3 months, which was very difficult financially, of course. So we don't have the rights to, we didn't license the rights to stream this debate, so we are just not doing it. What I recommend is put it on C-SPAN or something in another tab, and then just listen along, and just piping in whenever we see something ridiculous or funny, fact checking. Biden saying Trump is responsible for the deaths.
I gotta say, just on visuals, Trump looks to me and sounds a little exhausted. He didn't really sound strong and energetic. I don't know what they popped Biden with, whatever pills they got him on, but Biden is speaking more crisply and sharply than usual, where Trump seemed a little lethargic. I don't know if Trump is still a little sick, even though they put him with a gazillion and one drugs, including steroids. But Trump, to me, seemed a little lethargic, whereas Biden seems to me to have a little bit more energy. I don't know what you think, Jen.
Yeah, I agree so far. It's certainly not a spunky Trump who's stalking Hillary Clinton on the stage like he was 4 years ago. I don't know. We'll have to see through the night. He does look not. He looks a little. I'm trying to think of a word that he would use. One of his nicknames, Slow Joe, Sleepy Joe, Sleepy Trump.
Thank you for the super chat.
And Trump has been doing some really wacky things.
Thank you for the super chat, Swirly Swirl. Vaccine within weeks? LMAO. When? Why? The herd immunity? Yeah, he's just saying things at this point.
Another one, Swirly, $5 in the super chat. Trump looks like a deflated balloon, and Biden looks prepared. So Trump is saying that there are potentially 2 companies who can distribute a coronavirus vaccine within a couple of weeks, which does not at all seem true. Fact check needed. Keep smashing the like button, sharing the stream, let people know we're live.
I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up. One in particular that's the head of logistics, and this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine.
Yeah, Linear Bob, it's interesting you mentioned the ties. One of the things that I remember from this fascinating politics class that I had in probably 11th grade or something was talking about the colors of clothing and what people wear and the different color ties and what they signify. I find that stuff really, really interesting because those subtle things do have a subliminal effect on people. Red is power, of course. Which fits into how these candidates are campaigning. Another one's release world. Thank you for the $5. I don't think Trump knows how manufacturing works. It's very likely true.
When I closed and banned China from coming in heavily infected and then ultimately Europe, but China was in January. Months later, he was saying I was xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, oh, I should have,
I don't know what you think, Jordan, but on this point where people were saying he was xenophobic for closing off from China, I think he was right to do that. People saying he's xenophobic, Trump is xenophobic for when he closed off from China, I think he was right to do that, and they were calling him xenophobic, like to his very small amount.
Yeah, he
of
was
credit.
right to do that. He should have shut down the entire country at the same time, like China did. If he would have done a national lockdown in the beginning,
of course,
we wouldn't be where we are.
Absolutely, but he is right that the Democrats were angry about that.
I will say, just for people watching that might have watched the first debate and that disaster, Trump is so far, on a lot better behavior. I guess you could put it that way. Trump is behaving a lot better, talking more calmly, not going for his throat. I mean, it's only 15 minutes so far. So Trump, I think, particularly to suburban women, if you want to talk like different categories of voters, is coming off a little bit less insane, I guess is the best way to say it.
The handling of the coronavirus is definitely a key issue to people. So I think Biden's, what he's saying really kind of hits home with people because a lot of people did die under Trump, and other than the people who are kind of brainwashed that Trump is the second coming of Jesus, people realize he did a terrible job. Trump just said Biden has a thing about living in the basement. What the hell? Interesting, Trump bringing up the Gold Star families again. People gave him crap for pointing to them as a potential source of his coronavirus infection.
Like the first debate, note that they've been talking about coronavirus for 5 minutes. There's not been one mention of the still tens of millions of people unemployed. There has not been one mention on still the fact that we are now 3 months since the expanded $600 expired, meaning tens of millions of people have had no federal unemployment for nearly 90 days. I think it's day 88 today. There's not one mention of it. Trump is not talking about it and what he would do. Biden isn't talking about additional stimulus. It's all about, the death count, things like that. Not that that's not important, but you have a looming depression, and neither of these people are talking about what they would do.
Well, China's fault. And you know what? It's not yours fault that it came here either. It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part, but they didn't keep it from coming out to the world, including Europe and ourselves. The fact is that when we knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president
I keep hearing beeps in my ear from the Discord. So you members, remember that we do have the Discord for you guys. If you aren't a member yet, join and you can do some additional chatting in there. Statuscoup.com/join.
things the president has said, even today, he thinks we are in control. We're about to lose 200,000 more people. Look, perhaps just to finish this, I was kidding with that, but just to finish this, when I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. What, Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing in the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco. But when I closed, he said, this is a terrible thing, xenophobic. I think he called me racist even. And because I was closing it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier. It just, it doesn't. I didn't say universally. You certainly did.
Yeah, and this argument about closing versus not closing and the crap Trump got early on, you did a lot of reporting, Jordan, on Simone Sanders not following guidelines. And, they were continuing to campaign and kind of ignoring how serious this was, and they don't get called out for it.
Yeah, Biden's full of shit. Excuse my French. Swear jar demonetized. I mean, Biden was pushing people to go out and vote in the early days of this thing during the Florida primary, the Arizona primary. What was the other one? Illinois primary. Simone Sanders, his advisor, that Benedict Arnold, who used to work for Bernie and now suddenly is a neoliberal establishment darling. She said, well, the CDC says it's safe to go in-person vote. Actually, the CDC said the exact opposite. So the Biden campaign, I mean, it's politics, of course. That doesn't mean Trump hasn't been an absolute disaster. And he has the reason you have all these lunatics without a mask at these Trump super spreaders is because Trump has basically almost like dog whistled against masks. Yeah, I'm cool with masks. Hint, hint, don't wear a mask. And mocking Biden. So, yeah, Biden hasn't been as egregious, and Biden at least wears a mask out in public. But when it was politically advantageous to Biden during the Democratic primary to try and seal the deal and defeat Bernie, Biden was telling people to go out. And he said, we could just socially distance and wipe down the polls, which obviously neither of those things happened. So, yeah, Biden, shocking, has no substance or consistency.
And I don't know exactly how true this is. It seems true, but Tucker Carlson got a hold of a letter from Chris Cuomo's apartment building that he got fined $500 for not wearing his mask in the building repeatedly after he was warned. Little nugget for you guys.
Tested positive. By the time I spoke to the doctor the second time, he was fine. It just went away. Young people, I guess it's their immune system.
Let me follow up with you, President Trump. You've demanded schools open in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, falls indicated the latest to move the public school system entirely online after coronavirus spike.
I'll tell you, this is like the first debate. Well, it's different than the first debate because they're not screaming at each other and Trump's not acting like a pompous asshole. But on this particular argument, Trump is losing. Not because Biden is saying anything so inspiring or inducing confidence that he'll lead on coronavirus better, but Trump just has no specifics, and he has no real case that comforts, a mother, or a father, or a person with a pre-existing condition, or a person that's been unemployed. He just keeps saying, "We got to reopen the country. We won't have a country. We got to reopen the country. We won't have a country." It's just the same talking points that, if you look at polls, more people would rather the economy suffer and be safe. More people would rather us do more take more cautious measures on coronavirus than just rush and reopen the economy. So Trump is talking like a real estate stock market guy rather than connecting with the American people's fears. And Biden is just reciting the same exact whatever that consultants told him to say, but it sounds better than Trump. And that really is what this election comes down to. He sounds better than Trump.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that is not inconsistent with saying that what we're going to make sure that nobody's safe. And by the way, all you teachers out there, not that many die, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
President Trump, let me tell
By the way, I will say this. If you go to what's happening in New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And when you talk about plexiglass, these are restaurants that are dying. These are businesses with no money. Putting up plexiglass is unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic. These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it. Everyone's leaving New York. Take a look at what New York has done in terms of turning the curve down in terms of number of people dying.
I love how Biden literally just said, "I don't look at it like Trump looks at it. I don't look at it as blue states or red states. It's the United States," but then points out that the current spike is in red states. He literally just contradicted himself
Right.
in 10 words. Like, yeah, blue states have spiked, like New York and New Jersey are now, cases are increasing. They're all increasing everywhere because it's not a state by state issue, it's a federal issue. And because we haven't had a uniform one federal lockdown, meaning there's not different rules in different states, one uniform rule in all states like China did. We could call China the communist boogeyman, but they locked down the whole country. It wasn't different provinces had different rules and regulations. It was all, you're locked down. Same thing in Italy, Paris, and other places. Here, you had different states doing different things, and we still have that. Meanwhile, people are traveling state to state. So this blue state, red state, on red states are experiencing it more, but blue states are too. Wisconsin has a Democratic governor. Their cases are through the roof right now. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing. The virus is the virus, and it's spreading across state lines. Their Republican governors, in my view, have acted crazier, like Ron DeSantis, who should be charged criminally with criminal negligence and recklessness. But, yeah, it's just ridiculous, this red-blue nonsense on this topic.
Thank you, Swirly Swirl. $5 in the super chat. Everywhere is a ghost town right now. That's very true. It's eerie walking around these cities when we're out reporting, just totally empty. Denise Hartle, $24.99 in the super chat. Love you both. Been really sick, not virus. Good. I'm glad you don't have the virus. Getting better. Your recent work over the last few months has been phenomenal. So happy for you personally, Jordan. Team Coup. Yes, everyone give Jordan and Anat a clap and blow them kisses because they are married. They got hitched.
But Anthony said, don't wear masks, now everyone's wearing masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exactly what Jesus is exactly. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
The response is,
The mic muting seems to be working pretty well.
he was told this was a serious virus.
Possibly only because Trump is toned down today.
He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, reporting, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was. They didn't want to tell us. They didn't want to tell us because they didn't want us to panic. They didn't want us, Americans don't panic. But guess what? In the meantime, we found a number of times that that also said this is a really dangerous thing.
Trump hitting Biden on Wall Street money.
I could raise so much more money as president and as somebody that knows most of those people. I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me. I could blow away your records that like you would think. We don't need money. We have plenty of money. In fact,
Yeah, Trump talking about he doesn't need money, but he is missing that Adelson money.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start with the security of our elections. Some great news from overnight. Just last night, top intelligence officials confirmed again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have been key.
Albert saying Jen looked direct into the camera like Jordan. I can't, buddy. I'm watching the debate so I can comment on it. So I gotta look off screen to watch the debate.
But an end to this threat with 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I made it clear. I asked everyone else to take the play. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, interfere in the American election will pay the price. They will pay the price. It's been overwhelmingly clear. This election won't even get into the last one. This election, Russia's been involved, China's been involved to some degree, and now we learned that
They're saying you're muted, but I don't even think you're trying to talk. So I don't know.
Yes, I was muted. I was tweeting something brilliant.
Jordan does seem to think he has brilliant tweets, and he does.
What's incredible to me, we are now a half hour into this debate. Think about this, Jen. In September, almost 5 million people in September had been unemployed between 15 and 26 weeks. 2.5 million had been unemployed 27 weeks or more, which the Labor Department and Federal Reserve categorize as permanently unemployed. I don't know how they say 27 weeks or more is permanently unemployed, but 15 to 26 isn't. I don't understand that, but whatever. That would be 7.5 million people who have been unemployed for over 15 weeks. Now we're about to hit 90 days since that $600 unemployment expired, right? People have been without federal help for 3 months. We're now a half hour into this debate. There hasn't been one mention about that $600 unemployment expiring 3 months ago, nor the lack of stimulus, nor the lack of a deal between the Democrats and the Republicans, nor the lack of Trump's leadership to make the deal, right? He's the art of the deal. Not one mention of this. It's unbelievable.
Hold on. I think Biden just, I was half listening to you and half this. I think Biden just referenced the bounties again, which were disproven, right?
I didn't hear what he said, but if he referenced the bounties, yes, that's been disproven. Yet Biden's been running it anyway, running with it.
And it came from Putin because he was very friendly with the former mayor of Moscow, who was the mayor of Moscow's wife. And you got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million. And someday you're gonna have to explain why did you get 3.5. I never got any money from Russia. I don't get money from Russia. Now about your thing last night, I knew all about that. And through John, who was John Rutherford, who was fantastic, he said one thing that's common to both of them. They both want you to lose.
So now he's talking about DNI Ratcliffe, and this is kind of, I think, probably the most transparent lie propaganda piece ever was Ratcliffe coming out with that right before the debate.
That's the word against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold test busters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, they were so bad. They took over the submarines.
Smash the like button if you guys haven't yet. Subscribe.
Now Trump's hitting him over Biden and the emails.
I mean, the text messages in particular don't look great for Biden, but obviously there's a million and one more things to get Trump on.
Explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family.
Another super chat, Swirly Swirl. You're on a roll. You could win so easy if you didn't take Wall Street money.
Do it right now.
Biden just dodged. All he's saying is, I have never taken a penny from any foreign entity, and then switched it over to Trump, pointing out Trump's corruption. He didn't answer anything specific about the Hunter Biden emails, the text messages, none of it.
fact, talking about me, taking a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever. Number one. Number two, this is a president I released all of my tax returns. 22 years. Go look at it. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? Foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels. And all
So far, this is just like clear debate prep.
By the way,
memorized lines.
I know that the corporate media thinks that debate moderators should be mannequins and never challenge the candidates or point out their lies, but it's pretty disgraceful that Joe Biden just straight up dodged that question, and Kristen Wilker, the NBC moderator, did not challenge him at all. That is disgraceful.
Much more important than that, people were saying
Yep.
$750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. Prepaid, my friend. Tens over the number of years. Tens of dollars. I prepaid.
Wait, he said I prepaid $10 million the last number of years. Like, who? I have millions of dollars to work with, but who would do that and why? Just like give the IRS random money that you don't have to.
Number one. Number two, I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Jim. And your son gave you, they even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know, maybe you're not. But you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man.
Trump referencing the big man comment from, I think that was from the emails.
I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You said you spoke to your accountant about potentially looking to tell you when you can release them to you. Deadline for when you can release them.
I get treated worse than the Tea Party got treated. Because I have a lot of people in there, deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal that was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly. But we had a deal all done. We did the deal. I want to release
And Kat says, thanks for watching it so I don't have to. Yep, that's what we're here for. Suffering through it.
prepaying your taxes. I pay them.
I want to ask you both about questions regarding the potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance to talk about this more broadly. Respond very quickly, and I'll get to it.
Why did you say this for 4 years? Show us. Just stop playing around. You've been saying for 4 years that you're going to your taxes. Nobody knows this because what they do know is you're not paying your taxes or you're paying taxes so low. When last time he said what he paid, he said, I only pay that little because I'm smart. I know how to game the system.
So
President Trump, and then I want to get to two questions for both of you.
I was put through a phony witch hunt for 3 years.
I'm not saying this as a Trump supporter, but I got to tell you something. Can you imagine if the roles were reversed and it was Donald Trump and emails came out that Don Jr. made a business deal with the Chinese and 10% was set aside for the big man, Donald Trump? Do you really think that the debate moderator, Kristen Wilker, wouldn't push back on Donald Trump on that? It's completely biased for Biden, just like the Democratic primary. Oh, now Kristen Wilker is pushing back on Biden.
Jason Milton, $3 in the super chat. Jen, do you think Trump's tone is different today? I mean, that's the question they always ask. They've asked that, like every journalist or whatever, every corporate outlet always says, "Will Trump's tone be different today? Is this today that Trump becomes president?" Um, it depends by tone. I'll go with like the tone of his message. No, it's not different. Um, Not different. But yeah, he seems like tired and not as feisty, shall we say.
Testifying on an oath of work said, I did my job. I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing without a line. Not a single thing. Number one. Number two, the guy who got in trouble with Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do. Did not. Because it never, ever, ever happened. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China. I have not had it. The only guy who made money from China was this guy. And the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
President Trump, let me ask my question to you.
Okay, just one very good son. Didn't have a job for a long time. Was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to that. 183, and they gave him $3 million upfront payment.
I don't know where he got that figure. I've heard 50,000 a month.
Thank you for the super chat, Denise. $9.99. So happy Status Quo is covering this. You're the only ones I can relate to. Enjoy getting hard facts from and up and your personalities. And delivery doesn't make me crazy. Glad to hear it. We're here all night. And by the way, I know we have a small
Yay.
audience. I know we have a small audience right now. Hopefully, it gets bigger after the debate. Please, if you can, drop us a super chat. We really, really need as much revenue as we can right now. Coronavirus has, made times a little tougher for everybody, including us. So keep it coming in the super chat if you can. If you can't, we totally understand. If you can, we appreciate it. Chris, $5. Enjoying the real-time commentary makes hearing the lies bearable. That's why we're here, America. Whichever
Woohoo.
making lies bearable.
That's our.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him,
Oh, you're just rude to Chris, and that's going to be headline.
I decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference. He is the vice president of the United States, and his son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking up money every time.
I do want to ask you, Vice President Biden, about China. Let's talk about China more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that
They're really just,
fully transparent in regards
they're not talking about issues that real people care about. Obviously, they have to talk about the Hunter stuff, but they're missing out on so much that really matters to people.
Issues that will not be discussed. Flint, Michigan has not had clean water for 6.5 years. Maybe we should talk about that. California wildfires still actually
Yeah.
raging. Maybe we should talk about gentrification run amok. Maybe we should talk about the fact that Jeff Bezos is about to become a trillionaire while tens of millions of people don't have any jobs or health care right now. Maybe, just maybe, we should talk about the fact that next year is 20 years of war in Afghanistan. Maybe, just maybe, we should talk about, I don't know, the fact that neither of these men have a health care plan. Maybe, just maybe.
He embraces guys like Doug
Just maybe. It's incredible that it won't happen.
all our friends, all our allies. We make up only really 25%, 25% of the world's economy. We need to be having the rest of our friends with us saying to China, these are the rules. You play
Yeah, Trump is simply not
economically.
his old self today.
And that's what we did in upholding steel tariffs, arranged some of the things when we were president and vice president.
let's talk about North Korea.
No, I have to respond to that.
Okay. Very quickly, and then we're going to move on to North Korea.
My screen is frozen.
After spending 10 minutes in office and being in air. To that.
Okay. Very quickly, and then we're going to move on to North Korea.
$1.5 from China after spending 10 minutes in office and being in Air Force Two. Number one. Number two, there's a very strong email talking about your family wanting to make $10 million a year.
Chip says, can we please start talking about the United States? I agree. I agree.
What specifically are you going to do to make China pay? You said you're going to be able to pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave $28 billion.
Your sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers.
Taxpayers' money.
It's what?
Taxpayers' money. Income of
Yeah, I
China.
know the taxpayers. It's called China. China paid $28 billion, and you know what they did to pay it to? They devalued their currency, and they also paid up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our grain farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped steel because they were killing our steel industry. We were not going to have a steel industry,
Okay.
and now we have a steel
Okay,
industry.
Vice President Biden, your response, please.
My response is, look, this isn't about. There's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason.
First malarkey reference that I've heard.
The substance issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family or your family. If you're making less than, if you're a middle-class family, you're in your money right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires for the ball because we have to wait another month or so. Or we're going to be able to pay the mortgage.
Biden finally pivoting to real people issues.
Community college. They're the decisions you're making.
Very canned. You can tell that it's just simply memorized. He's definitely not an Obama type speaker.
I want to talk about North Korea. I do want to turn to 10 seconds, Mr. President. 10 seconds.
Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks. The family around the table. I mean, just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about North Korea. Okay.
Trump calling Biden out for being a typical politician and pivoting, and he's right. I hate saying Trump's right, but that was a very politician moment.
By the way, I don't know if anyone picked that up, but he said when I met with Barack Obama, you know, President Obama, but he kind of went a little long on the Barack Obama. Just an observation.
Just 30 seconds here because we need to get on to the next
So when I met with Barack Obama, we sat in the White House. Right at the beginning, had a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it was an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with North is North Korea. He indicated we will be in war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war, and he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And you know, about 2 months ago, he broke into a certain area. They said, "Oh, there's going to be trouble." I said, "No, there's not."
Trump seems really deflated.
Look, instead of being in a war with millions of
He's like Jim Jones when he started to hide away, and other people had to continue his cult for him.
Well, it's not coming up
And when
because
he
he's
comes
done
out with
such a
his first
good
speeches.
performance, but I mean, he's 74 years old and has had coronavirus. Like, I'm 34, I was 33, and it didn't leave my system completely, at least symptoms, for a month. I was still coughing after
Yeah.
30 days. It came, it went, then it came back. So, like, the fact that Trump kind of seems off his game, he's also been traveling a lot. I mean, they could pump him with whatever drugs they've been pumping him, but he's still old and had the virus. So it might be part of why he's coming off lethargic.
Yeah. Swirly swirl, $5 in the super duper chat. I really thought he was going to bring up soup. Soup for my family. That's one of the best moments of the campaign, I have to say. What a psycho. I also did dancing the other day. To catch on for a fascist murderer.
Vice President Biden, you said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the Korean Peninsula should be a nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American families.
I gotta say, man, it's times like this really make you miss Bernie. He would have been wiping the floor with Donald Trump. Biden's doing okay, but like
Yep.
he's not
Yep.
crushing Trump by any means.
No, he's. I think it's only because Trump is pretty lethargic that it seems like Biden's doing okay. Like Biden's giving the canned answers he's supposed to give. I guess that works for okay in this day and age, unfortunately.
If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, there's 20 million Americans.
But Bernie speaks with conviction, and Biden speaks
People have their health insurance
to get elected.
First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate, where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege and to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated it. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision. Run it as well as you can. People, great people. Run it as well as you can. I could have been very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down. Everything's down. Here's the problem. No matter
No, Henry, that's quite
what we like to do is
quite drastic. I'm gonna go ahead and
individual mandate done.
remove that
I
one.
don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run it, and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare, because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is give much better health care, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful health care. The Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the House by that time. And I think we're going to win the House, okay? You'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better health care, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care. Far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care. People that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180 million plans, 180 million people, families, under what he used to do, which was basically would have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done it.
Yeah, Trump saying Biden's going to implement socialized medicine. People kept saying, centrists kept saying, we can't have Bernie because they'll call him a socialist. Well, here we are.
Unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option. We come by public option is an option that says that if you in fact do not have the wherewithal, if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically enroll, providing competition for insurance companies. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea that I want to eliminate private insurance, the reason why I had such a fight for with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's why I did that.
Biden pointing out that he actually is a Republican, that he fought the other Democratic candidates on getting rid of private insurance. What a great Democratic candidate we have.
I just tweeted. I just tweeted. Joe Biden 2020. I support private insurance. Tens of millions without health insurance. Appreciate your courage, sir.
Oh, it's so sad. I just
17, 18, 19, 20. The fact that I still do it for a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious. The fact is that
Is Swirly Swirl the only person feeling super tonight, Jen? I feel like Swirly Swirl was really carrying the super
super
chat
duper
tonight. We
swirly
love you,
super.
Swirly Swirl, but Jesus, wake up, people.
But yeah, get the super chats going.
10 million people with pre-existing conditions, and all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. The latest
It's not out of the realm of possibility that like a Trump healthcare plan, if he comes up with a new one, if he does get elected, could potentially be like more left than Biden.
It's ridiculous. It's like saying that, the idea that the fact that people can choose, that makes it so. Look, the difference between the president, I think healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have the right to have affordable healthcare. And I am very proud of my people.
Biden just said healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. Everybody should have the right to have healthcare. Not everybody does have the right. Everybody should have the right to have access to healthcare. Guillaume, welcome. I hope I'm saying your name right. Guillaume, it's been a while since I took French. I think that's right. Welcome, new member, Jordan. Can you hear me?
Oh, did I miss something?
New member.
Woo! What's the name?
New member, Guillaume.
Guillaume. Welcome, Guillaume.
Yay. I'll send you the Discord link, Guillaume.
We're now at 1,687. 1,687 members. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Sign up. statuscoup.com/join.
Join us. You'll get the new Discord link. I'm going to send Guillaume his link right now.
And you never asked that question. And by the way, so far, I respect very much the
Oh, wow. Trump just praised Kristen Welker.
My response is people deserve to have affordable health care. Period, period, period. And the Biden care proposal will, in fact, provide for that affordable health care, lower premiums. What we're going to do is going to cost some money. It's going to cost over $750 billion over 10 years to do it. And we're going to have lower premiums. You can buy into better plans, cheaper plans, lower your premiums, deal with unexpected billing, and have your drug prices drop significantly. He keeps talking about it. He hasn't done a thing for anybody in healthcare. None of them.
I actually don't even know if they are muting the mics. It doesn't seem like it. Maybe they just told Trump that so he wouldn't try.
and destroying your Social Security. And this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it.
Oh, one interesting fact. Let me find it. Over 47 million Americans have now already voted, more than the entire figure for 2016. I think that's insane. Jordan, did you hear me? Jordan.
Sorry, I was tweeting.
Jordan,
What'd you say?
stop tweeting. I said Washington reports that over 47 million Americans have more than the entire figure for 2016. I think that's
More
insane.
than the entire what?
That's incredible. More than the entire figure for 2016.
Early voting. Yes.
Yeah, early
Yes.
voting. So
That's
that's insane
big.
though. It's like increased by like 40%
yes.
or something.
But I will say that
I think that like both
I will say that I think voter registration in a lot of these states was up among Republicans rather than Democrats. So we do see the long lines, but voter registration in a lot of the critical states, Republican voter registration had increased from 2016. So whatever that means.
I wonder because I can't remember who it was. Someone on cable news earlier actually made a good point that we know that Democrats going in for early voting are voting for Biden, but we really don't know if Republicans going in are definitely voting for Trump. Like they probably are, but maybe not. So I don't know. It's interesting to see how it'll all shake out. Rick, oh, my eyesight's getting really bad, guys. So if you see me like coming close to the camera, I just can't see anything. $5 pressing, but I love you guys. Thanks for streaming. I know, Rick, we're all together. It's a crazy, crazy time. We'll get through it.
if you're Jewish, this is like the what happened? Why am I blanking? What they call that thing when people gather after somebody dies? Shiva. This is like Shiva, where you're sad that somebody died, but you have bagels and cream cheese and friends and family to console you. That's what this is like. Something has died.
America. Hot chip, $5 in the super chat. Biden just said everyone should have the right to buy healthcare. Oh my God, I missed that phrase. That's really bad. Yikes. Swirly swirl again. Amazing. My Indiana County has given out a good number of Republicans for Biden signs. Interesting.
I think it hurts her politically.
Republican leader in the United States Senate said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican talking to his Republican.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President.
By the way, just being honest, Biden is talking about how the Democrats proposed the HEROES Act and all these things, and the Democrats did their jobs. The HEROES Act was completely inadequate too, and the whole $1 trillion to states and cities. Jen and I can tell you that money going to states and cities oftentimes gets diverted to donors, real estate developers, foundations, and those kind of things. That money was not enough. The $3 trillion Nancy Pelosi HEROES Act, it lacked universal basic income during the pandemic, and it lacked actual health care during the pandemic. The Democrats were proposing expanding COBRA. Yes, expanding COBRA, which is the biggest scam, expensive healthcare program in existence. Thank you.
You're soon to be rid of Cobra, if not already. Very exciting.
I'll be hopping on wifey's healthcare soon. Woohoo! By the way, I just got married. Leave a super chat.
She said she did it the other day.
Millions and billions of dollars to this hit. It was also a way of getting a lot of money from our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally. We're going to take care of everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do what that does, everybody will start pouring into our country. We can't.
By the way, they're 1 hour in. There is zero mention of wildfires, extreme hurricanes constantly popping up. The United Nations, 10 years. Well, they said 12 years. Now I think it's closer to 10.
Nothing about Black Lives Matter. I guess they're over that.
Yep. Nothing about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Biden wanting to give police departments more money, Proud Boys, white supremacy. I could go on.
Yeah, they need to ask about white supremacy. Like, I want them to ask about QAnon as well. It's half now. Half of Republicans are polling as believing in QAnon to some extent.
I do, because I think one of the things we're going to have to do is we should bail them out too. We should be bailing.
Sandra Mayer, $10 in the super chat. By the way, Anat looked exquisite for the nuptials. She looked so good. She looked amazing. Very, very beautiful. Yes, Jordan's noodles. I'll never get over that word.
By the way, I got to be honest. I don't know if Trump is just not feeling well or lethargic. This is the second debate. He's chosen not to hammer Biden on NAFTA, TPP, Biden signing on to every trade deal that sold Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio's jobs to China and Mexico. It was one of the key lines that he successfully used against Hillary Clinton in 2016. All of the exit polls in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania showed the top issues for voters in those states was trade and immigration. Trade, meaning NAFTA, TPP. I covered the rallies when I was at the Young Turks. Trump had them at NAFTA. For some reason, he's not going after Biden on the fact that Biden pushed NAFTA, the fact that Biden was pushing TPP as of last year. it's a winning issue. I don't know why Trump's not using it because it would help him.
Two job, one job, feeding below poverty. People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15. Anything below that puts you below the poverty level. And there is no evidence that when you raise the minimum wage, businesses.
Wow, Trump just said that children separated from their parents at the border were brought here by coyotes and bandits.
Oh my God, I missed that. Jesus. Oh, my feed is still behind, so it hasn't come up for me yet. Yeah, I'm on like a 30-second delay.
Are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and then
I mean, they call them coyotes, the ones who sneak them over the border.
we now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we're lucky.
I want to do more reporting at the border wall, like interviewing their group. Abby Martin did an amazing report on this. There are groups that leave water jugs strategically throughout the desert, and the border guards just crush them and dump the water out. They're just such assholes, just to be assholes. Speaking of which, we're recording with Abby and Robbie Martin tomorrow, so that'll be cool.
These 500 plus kids came with parents. They spread it at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. Big, real tough. We're really strong. And guess what? They cannot. Coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got
Biden is
from their parents.
crushing him right now on the separation of the children with their parents. Trump sounds like a
Yeah,
terrible evil man.
Joe's definitely framing it in a very, very particular way. Like he's not dead on, but he's winning the public like image of it for sure.
From their arms and separate. And now they cannot find over 500 sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Yeah, Biden was good on that.
Reporters, everything, they are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean. Such good. But just answer, who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him, who built the cages?
Oh, please. Every single Democratic candidate since Kennedy has been saying within 100 days, well, maybe not Kennedy, within 100 days, I'm going to propose a pathway to citizenship for blah, 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 blah. Please. Biden's not doing it.
Into is why do the Koch brothers push open borders?
Why what?
Why do the Koch brothers push open borders? I need to research that.
Because they want cheap labor through immigrants. That's why.
That's the only reason?
The only reason Koch brother, because one's dead, cares about that.
Oh, true.
is
I
for cheap
forgot
labor.
about that. Very interesting.
I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River and it's illegal. And you say, oh no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them, Mom says, over responders out there taking care of them.
So fortunately, we only have about 25 minutes left of this because I'm damn near falling asleep.
Pump it up, Trump. Start doing cartwheels or something. By the way, guys, new Discord happening right now. People are chatting in there as we speak. Join for $5 a month. Statuscoup.com/join to get in on the action.
If in fact you had family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given first president of the United States of America that said anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that you seek asylum based on the following premise: why I deserve it under American law.
Yeah, Joanna, you make a good point. Joanna, I think Trump looks good to people who moderate staunch Republicans. Yeah, we're viewing this through the lens of, we're obviously would rather Biden win than Trump. Not that we hate Biden, but a whole different world for Trump supporters, and they're definitely viewing this through a different lens.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Trump needs to get more people than just his base. I think he's delusionally thought he could win just with his base, but he only won in 2016 by 77,000 votes. He barely won with his base, and quite a lot of those people have left. I mean, the 10%. The key to him winning in 2016 was he got 10% of Obama voters to switch to him. Well, I would dare to say in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, where Biden is leading in all three right now, a percentage of why Biden is winning is those Obama to Trump people that switch from Democrat to Republican are switching back to Biden. So he needs to be talking to somebody other than, his hardcore base. But he, I guess, doesn't know how to do that or just doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point for sure. Like he's lost that fake populist message that he had in 2016. I think that's really going to hurt him.
The next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Finally, on to race.
My daughter is a social worker, and she's written a lot about this. She gets a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania social work. And
We should just say, as he's talking very sympathetically and empathetically right now about black people and the plight of black men in America, he did say in the 1990s, "Put him in jail. I don't want him near my mother." So, this is quite the extreme makeover from Joe Biden, which frankly was one of the main failing points of Bernie's campaign. He should have hammered Joe Biden on his lies about his participation in the civil rights movement, on his lies about going to meet with Nelson Mandela in apartheid South Africa, on palling around with Strom Thurmond during the 1970s to stop busing, on the crime bill, which, yes, Bernie voted for, but did what honest people do and say, I made a mistake. I voted for it really because of the violence against women provision, but it was a mistake to vote for this. And he should have hammered Biden on his race record because it's a bad record. And I think, would Bernie have won South Carolina? No. Would he have lost by 30 points? No, he wouldn't have if he would have taken the gloves off.
better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to
Now Trump's hitting him on the crime bill.
as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
President Trump, same question to you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, he's been in government 47 years, never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators.
He actually did not call them super predators. That was Hillary. Not that he didn't say horrible things, but
Super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception.
It's actually not a bad answer by Trump. I mean, he's totally full of crap. But hitting Biden on the crime bill and pointing out some of the things he did on criminal justice reform, giving more money to HBCs, historically black colleges, It's not a bad answer for black voters that might be on the fence. Obviously, Trump's not going to win more than like he'd be lucky to win 10% of black voters. He's polling around 9-10% right now. But if he wins any more than that, Biden's in trouble.
Great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for Opportunities House. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment who's been the biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities, and then historically black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came to the office and they said, I said, what do you think? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because back every year. We have to come back. Because President Obama would never give them long-term funding. And I did 10-year long-term funding, and I gave them more money than they asked for because they said, I think you need more. And I said, the only bad part about this is I may never see you again because I got very friendly with them. They like me.
You guys in the chat, who do you think is doing better in the debate so far? Type your answer.
Your response to that, let's
My response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is a guy who said the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it, not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs.
Haha, thank you, Sandra.
Who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who in the Central Park five innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of what the crime
True, Paul, true.
Look, and talk about
That's for the laws.
he did in fact let 20
Albert, I agree. I think Biden.
we committed over 1,000 people's sentences.
This is terrible. This debate. It's exhausting. I'm doing it for the
It's horrible.
I'm doing it for the viewers, but it's exhausting.
Swirly, Swirly, you're the true hero. Swirly Swirl's the winner of the debate. Biden knows what's right, and he still is so awful. He understands systemic racism and Antifa, and he's still terrible. That's one of the things that I can't get past. We're talking about racism and Antifa, and the other day I mentioned, if he's such a good person at this point in history, here in 2020, when the vast majority of Democrats and a majority of all Americans want Medicare for all, that he's not compassionate enough to go there, that he won't give us Medicare for all. Like, if he's such a good guy, why can't he see it? Why won't he do it? Like, it's not actually that good of a guy. He seems to be like a really bad, but that's it.
Oh, here we go. Biden's the character of the country is on the ballot. The character of the country is on the ballot.
Mwah.
your response to that, and then I do have some questions for both of you.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hope he doesn't look at me because what's happening here is you know who I am, you know who he is, you know his character, you know my character, you know the truth. I'm anxious to have I'm anxious to take place. I am the character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask the question, please respond.
It's true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician. So don't
Trump pivoting back to Ukraine.
They call him a corrupt politician.
President Trump, talk about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what
Cher, yeah, you're right. The way that Biden touches young girls is disgusting.
has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani. You mean the laptop?
By the way, Biden just pushed the nonsense Russian disinformation, that the Hunter Biden story is Russian disinformation. So it's the same stuff we've seen for 5
Yeah,
years. No
yeah.
evidence, but Russia, Russia, Russia.
described the Black Lives
mind it, talking about bulls, pigs in a blanket, found like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Trump has declared himself the least racist person in the room.
Justice reform done in prison reform.
Hey,
Black
hey, hey.
I don't know what to say. They can say anything. They can say anything. It makes me scared.
Joyce, I am definitely behind. I'm like a minute behind.
Racist person, I can't even see the audience because it's so dark. But I don't care what's in France. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, let's fine. Let me ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every
Did Trump just say Abraham Lincoln here?
single one. Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because we're Muslims. He says about the poor boys. Last time we were on stage here, he said, I told him to stand
Oh my God.
and stand ready.
He just said the poor boys instead of the proud boys.
Yep.
Jordan, did you hear
Yeah.
that?
Trump, they remember, the black people remember you treated them very, very badly.
What I've done to the black community. Now, you have done nothing other than the crime bill, which put tens of thousands of black men mostly in jail.
Let me ask
With the voting right now,
let me ask
look at what's happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me give you a chance to respond within this context. Crime bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of black men with small amounts of drugs in their possession. Their sons, their brothers, their fathers, their uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they?
One of the things in the 80s, all 100 senators voted for a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change the since, and particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for a pure drug offense. They should be going into treatment. Cost that's what we should be spending money. That's why I set up drug courts, which are never
Steve, coyotes are what they call the people who help Mexicans cross the border. I don't know if that's a racist term, but they call them coyotes, like the people who actually like know the right paths to go and how to get around border patrol. They call them coyotes. Not he's not talking about the actual immigrants.
Trump
Not to
is, I
defend Trump.
mean, I don't know if it will make a difference, but Trump is landing some shots in terms of the whole "you got nothing done." You're just a politician saying what politicians say. I mean, Trump's also now a politician who's gotten very little. Well, Trump's gotten a lot of stuff done that is terrible, but he is landing quite a few lines that I think will register with people. Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do X, Y, and Z while you were vice president or a senator?
Yeah.
I should say,
Yeah.
look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they're conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We lost time money to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
I just asked one question. Why didn't you do it?
Oh, yay, Steve. Well, welcome to you.
Biden just answered he didn't get criminal justice reform through because we had a Republican Congress. And Trump was like, you got to talk them into it. You got to talk them into it, like I did with criminal justice reform.
Vice President Biden, and then we're going to move on to the next.
We had a Republican Congress.
What the hell's happening? They're just like staring at Kristen.
We're going to move on to our next section.
Like I did with criminal justice reform. I had to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen, we're running out of time, so we got to get on to climate change, please. You folks have very
We're running out of time, so we have to get on to climate change. Very well put.
And folks, stay where you are. We're going to have a post debate recap. Keep those super chats coming.
They'll be better than any post debate Rachel Maddow could bring you. Anderson. They have nothing on us.
So we have the Clean Peace program. I do love the environment, but what I want
I do love the environment.
we have the best lowest number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time.
What if I hope Biden brings up Flint?
Because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration. We are working so well with industry. But here's what we need to do. Look at China, how filthy it is.
Oh my God.
Look at India, filthy. The
Okay, now Trump is just calling a bunch of countries filthy and
because we were going to have to spend
being xenophobic.
and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Pepsi rule. It was unfair. China until 2030 back to a low state, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our business. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally.
Ruth P, $5 in the super duper chat. Don't like either, but Trump is winning this debate so far, in my opinion. That's interesting, Ruth. I think I'm going back and forth. Overall, I do think Biden's, winning for whatever that's worth, but Trump is definitely landing some good punches too.
Existential threat to humanity. We have a moral obligation to deal with it. And we're told by all the leading scientists in the world we need much time. We're going to pass
Biden talking about a moral obligation while he plans to frack the country.
eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to clean up, to limit the emissions, will put us in a position where we're in a real problem. Here's where we have a great opportunity. All the environmental organizations as well as labor, people worried about jobs, to support my climate plan. Because what it does, it will create millions of new paying. We're going to invest in, for example, 500,000 charging stations on our highways so that we can own the electric car market in the future. In the meantime, China is doing that. We're going to be in a position where we're going to see to it that
Great. We're going to have charging stations on the highways. That's his, his grand plan.
retrofit them so they don't leak as much energy, saving hundreds of millions of barrels of oil in the process and creating significant
Ashura, I became a member this month for some reason. Ashura, email at info@statusquo.com and I'll look into that.
and our jobs are at stake. That would
Donna, Jordan, tweeting, the people say puss.
What'd you say, Donna?
She said, you seem to be a sour says they don't know you're eating. Come to the people.
No, I'm trying to listen to the debate and talk. I'm not a sourpuss. I just got married. I'm very excited. Woohoo!
Jolly George.
It's just hard to listen to the debate on a different screen while also cross talking, but I'm doing my darndest.
AOC plus 3. They know nothing about the climate. I mean, she's got a good line of stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC plus 3.
I think Trump kind of had some respect for AOC. I mean, he puts her down, but I think he respects her, not as a woman or like as a person with a brain, but like I think he respects like her ability to capture an audience.
Buildings down because I want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no is the craziest claim that anybody has ever said.
What is he talking about? He keeps talking about like
This was
they want to make small windows in buildings as part of AOC's climate plan.
they want to spend
What does that even mean?
$1 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6 to
He
feed
said it the other day.
They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows.
Little tiny windows.
Many other things. Many other
Let me
things.
ask the Vice President talk, and we're running out of time, and we have a lot more questions to get to. Let's hear from the Vice President. I have a number more
I
questions.
don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers. Between 100 trillion.
Biden just said he thinks windmills cause cancer, and Trump kind of like shook his head. Unbelievable.
Later, because they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way, the fastest growing industry in America.
Wow. Did you
I
just
kind
hear
of have to
Trump
say mea
said
culpa,
we
like
had to fight all of these countries because we needed their energy? That we had to fight wars over because we needed their energy?
my no, mine's like a minute delayed. Oh my gosh. That's quite an admission.
President Trump,
Energy independence for the first time. We don't need all these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We're energy independent. I know more about than you do.
I know more about wind than you do.
All the birds.
It kills all the birds.
Got a lot of problems. Make the windows in both Germany and China. And the fumes coming up, if you're a believer in carbon emission, the fumes coming up to make these massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas. Very good one.
What the hell is this?
But solar doesn't quite have it. It's not powerful yet to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete with the world. So
Biden, I rule out banning fracking because I want to emit more methane into the atmosphere, water. By the way, methane is 85 times more potent than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. Yay, yay, Democrats. We love fracking.
Swirly swirl, $5. Why is Biden whispering? I don't know. I don't think he's whispering, was he? Maybe he was earlier.
Because the answer we need other industries to transition to get to ultimately a complete zero emissions.
Swirly swirl, my electrical engineering butt is laughing my tush off. Is Trump for or against fossil fuels? I don't think Trump knows. He's for money.
We can do that, and we can do that by investing money to do it. It's a transition to that.
I have one more question in this primary.
Excuse me, he was against fracking. He said it. I will show that to you tomorrow. I am against fracking. Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania, he'll be against it very soon because his party is totally against it.
Fracking on federal land, I said. No fracking in oil on federal
Let
land.
me ask this final question in this section. And then
Not one question on the fact that we're going 20 years in Afghanistan. Who cares? 20-year war in Afghanistan.
Terrible.
your administration has rolled back regulations on these kinds of leaves. Why should these families give you another 4 years in office?
The families we're talking about are employed heavily and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that we produce for Hispanic or black or Asian, it's 9 times greater the percentage gain than it was under in 3 years than it was under 8 years of the two of them, to put it nicely. 9 times.
Oh, final questions coming. Yes.
But they're making a tremendous amount of money economically. We saved it, and I saved it again a number of months ago when the world was crashing because of the pandemic. We got similar relationship. We got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Russia to cut back way back. We saved our oil industry, and now it's very vibrant again. And everybody has very inexpensive gasoline.
President Biden, your response
Actually, Joe, the reason everyone's getting cancer and dying is because of DuPont, but you will not talk against them.
And I stopped giving to the oil industry. I stopped giving them federal subsidies. You won't give federal subsidies to the gas, excuse me, to solar and wind. Yet why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do the solar and wind. That's maybe the biggest statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement. Because basically what you're saying is she is going to destroy the oil industry. And we do remember that Texas, we don't remember that Pennsylvania, Oklahoma.
Last question.
Assura, 5 Canadian dollars. Didn't Biden lie about never any money while he was VP and about his son? So it's kind of, there's conflicting info based on like when he was actually vice president and when these messages were. The messages, for example, Biden wasn't in office, so it's kind of a mess right now. I think it's pretty clear like something shady was going on, but we'll see.
We have to make our country totally successful as it was prior to the blade coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time. But I will tell you, just before I was getting called.
I think I'm ready to stop listening. It's the final question. What about you?
Jen.
Okay.
I mean, go ahead. I'm gonna listen to the end. What if something crazy
Actually,
happens?
let's see what Biden has to say.
Graduates, number one class, everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. Success. But I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's taxes, and he wants to put new regulations on everything. He will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression the likes of which you've never seen. With 401ks, we'll go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
Right, I'm live.
Say, I'm the American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope.
Oh, here we go with the character of the ballot. Characters on the ballot.
Science over fiction.
All right.
Yeah, that was my
Thank the
younger
Lord.
son.
It's over. It's over. All right, folks. You have my full attention. If I seemed kind of spotty, it was because I was listening and had Jen a little bit in my ear at the same time. So I was getting, not that it's Jen's fault, but it was kind of a little difficult.
What?
No,
What
no.
kind of explanation is that?
I heard you talking, but I was also trying
What
to hear
really
the debate
happened?
and tweet at the same time. These are all very challenging things.
Yeah, there's the real answer. There's the real answer. Jordan was tweeting. It's not Jen in my
Well,
ear.
no,
It's
I
that
was
tweeting.
listening to the debate and listening to you because I want to know what you're saying and tweeting. I mean, this is a very difficult thing. All right.
Yeah.
All right. It's over. The American nightmare is over. Okay. So, folks, press
These are like,
press the like button if you have not. Please share this live stream. If you're new here, subscribe. Jen, immediate takeaway. Go.
sure. It was so boring. It was so horrible. Biden was just canned and, as expected. Trump he lacked fire. He doesn't seem to be feeling well. Honestly, he doesn't look well. He seems down and he just doesn't have that fire behind him. He used to be like the most interesting. Obviously, he's a horrible person, but he was interesting to watch in a debate. He does have charisma. He has the ability to hold an audience tonight.
First of all, I think if Trump would have been acted like he acted tonight in the first debate, I think it would be a lot closer of a race. If you were paying attention after the first debate, the polls expanded even more for Biden because Trump acted like such a carnival barker jackass in that first debate. I don't think Trump
Yeah.
won the debate because honestly, it's too late in my view. I think Trump has dug his political grave, but I thought he was a lot better than the first debate by simply being more calm. Some might say it looked a little lethargic. I said in the beginning, it looks like he's still sick to me. But at least, honestly, the more you let Biden talk, the better for you if you're Trump. Because Biden, there's no there. You know what I mean? Like, there is no there. And frankly, I do think Trump had a couple answers that I don't know if it's going to make a difference and he could actually win. But I do think Trump had a couple answers and key areas that he did make some gains. A couple points. Number one, I thought him going after Biden on the crime bill and then listing the things he has done for black people. First of all, it's nonsense. Trump is obviously a racist bigot. But on the margins, he did do some things that others have not gotten done. Some criminal justice reform, some more money for historically black colleges, those kinds of things. And in some areas, Biden is actually expanding. He's taking away white voters from Trump, which was Trump's key area of support in 2016, while Trump is actually in some areas expanding his non-white vote. It's like upside down. So it's not that Trump is doing amazing among black and Latinos, but he's doing better than he was in 2016. So I thought that answer, basically saying, you're the crime bill guy. People are in jail because of you. I'm the one who passed criminal justice reform. I'm the one, blah, 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 blah. I thought was good. The other thing with Trump, and he didn't really do this a lot in the first debate because he just couldn't stop screaming and interrupting and all this. But I think he was effective, and he did this a little bit with Hillary in 2016. I think he was effective in basically saying, what have you done? You haven't done anything. You're all talk, no action. He adopted some of those points that he kept hammering Hillary Clinton with. And Biden, honestly, didn't have a great answer for some of those attacks. Biden, at one point, said, well, we had a Republican Congress. So that's basically, well, you might have a Republican Senate if you're president. So I thought Trump in some areas did better. I also think that Trump's answer on the most important topic was like it's been awful. I think his answers on coronavirus are awful. The same talking point that I stopped travel from China. Nobody cares. Nobody's giving you credit. There's over 220,000 people have died. He's basically saying we got to reopen the economy. We can't hide in our basement. But there's zero plan to slow down the deaths. There's zero plans to actually not just the vaccine, but there was zero mention of the $600 expired unemployment that expired 3 months ago, and the fact that people have been out without that unemployment for 3 months. Trump didn't mention it. Biden didn't mention it. I don't think Trump had a game-changing answer on coronavirus, and coronavirus is the number one issue in the election.
Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised, but I'm shocked but not surprised that they didn't talk about that extra unemployment that people had been getting. The stimulus didn't get, that should have been a solid chunk of was talked about. That's what people need. The country's devastated. People are devastated and can't pay their rent, can't afford food, and it didn't even warrant. Spent so much time on Ukraine and Hunter and all those sorts of topics, which of course had to be brought up, but not to that extent, at the expense of issues that impact Americans every single day.
I also think, putting aside Trump for a second, if you are a progressive, which many of you watching are, there was something Biden said that really, was finally, at least they're being honest, but really just was gross to me. Biden said, I think healthcare is a right. I think people have a right to have affordable health care. Listen to that very closely. I think people have a right to have affordable health care. So usually, Biden, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, they've said healthcare is a human right, even though we know their actual policy is not that. Something can't be a right if you don't just get it as being a human.
Yeah.
Biden openly admitted, I think you have the right to affordable healthcare, meaning you have a right to have access to it. That's what that means.
Yeah.
You have a right to have access to it. That is a shameful comment that the corporate media is not going to care about because they don't care about the evils of the for-profit healthcare system. But that's the game right there. That's the Democratic Party. Not that Republicans are any better on healthcare, but Biden is saying you have a right to affordable access. And what affordable means, I'll let my big pharma and private health insurance and Wall Street donors tell me what's affordable. That's what that means. The other amazing admission, and this is less surprising from Trump because he's kind of said these things, but I tweeted it. Trump basically admitted, again, I think it's kind of refreshing, yeah, we went to war with all these countries to steal their oil. That's why we went to war with these countries, to take their, Trump said, to take their energy. I mean, points for honesty, but they didn't mention that we're 20 years in Afghanistan next year. And Trump just admitted, yeah, all these wars, they're not to protect America. They're to steal other countries' oil.
Yeah, the line that you're talking about with Biden and healthcare that you brought up before this latest point with Trump, that stood out to me. Joe to say things in a way that sounds good, but that doesn't scare his corporate donors. And, Trump is obviously a hypocrite, but Trump was right to hit him on his Wall Street donors and ties to big money, because that is really who Joe Biden is speaking to when he phrases things in a very specific way. Most people won't catch that. Most people won't realize what he was actually saying. And I think that if you're talking about Joe Biden's character, that shows low character to me. Obviously, he's a politician. He will do and say anything he needs to win. I believe he has to win. I really hope he does win, even though I'm, of course, not a fan. But it continues to just be really scummy how this whole access to healthcare thing that the Democrats try to push to the public. Really, Medicare, apart from climate, is like the issue that I care the most about. So it's frustrating for the American public to be lied to.
And Chris,
Gina Gal 9, $5 in the super chat. I only heard the word poverty once. What does that say? Yeah,
it
says a lot.
Thank you for the super chat, Ashura, $5. As Kyle Kalinske said, Trump will lose to zombie with a melting head.
Brain.
I'll also point out.
Brain.
Oh, brain. Sorry. I'll also point out that, and people don't like it. That's fine. I've already said, you vote however you want. I'm gonna not just hold my nose, but probably have to be inebriated to do this. But I've chosen to vote for Biden myself. You vote however you want. It's just my personal choice. I understand if you don't want to vote for Biden. And unlike other outlets, even though I'm going to vote for Biden, I'm not going to hide that he's a corrupt warmonger and servant of Wall Street. With all that said, I got to tell you the truth, Jen. Two things. Number one, I don't think Trump was effective on the Hunter Biden thing because he left out the most important part, in my view. He kept talking about Hunter Biden and that your son made all this money, but he didn't mention the New York Post story suggests that Joe Biden himself met with this Ukrainian Burisma executive. Let me say that again. The New York Post story that the corporate media in Silicon Valley, probably YouTube too, has basically censored from the public's view, suggested that Biden met with the Ukrainian executive at Burisma and then a year later pressured a Ukrainian prosecutor to get fired who was investigating Burisma. So Biden's campaign and Biden himself did not definitively say, I never met with this executive. All they said was the classic Washington non-denial denial, which was, what did he say? We don't have it on the calendar.
Wasn't on the calendar.
I don't have it on the calendar that I went and stabbed a person. That's not saying I didn't stab a person. I didn't stab a person, by the way.
That's a
No, I know. I'm
example.
saying. So Trump basically let Biden kind of swivel out of that because he didn't say, Joe, did you meet with the Burisma executive? Yes or no? Did you meet with this Burisma executive and then pressure the prosecutor who was investigating Burisma to get fired? I didn't expect Kristen Welker to do it. She's a milquetoast corporate news journalist. But the key is, did Biden meet with this executive from Burisma because his son Hunter, who, by the way, Joe claimed he never talked to his son Hunter about his business dealings, was making $50,000 a month, and then did he pressure Ukrainian government to fire this prosecutor? Just think about it, common sense. This is where I'm coming from. And again, this is somebody who doesn't want Trump to win, but I'm just keeping it real and being a journalist and being consistent. Think about it, common sense. Why would Joe Biden get involved? Why would the vice president of America get involved with trying to get rid of a corrupt prosecutor in Ukraine? They don't even give a shit about corrupt prosecutors and corruption in America. He's going to care about a corrupt prosecutor in Ukraine? Give me a break. So I don't think Trump prosecuted the case on the Hunter Biden thing that well. I think he let Biden basically swivel out of it by just saying, I've never made a dime out of foreign money, without having to answer the specifics of, did you meet with this executive? There's also text messages that came out. We don't know if they're real, but the Biden campaign, again, just like they're not challenging the authenticity of the emails, they haven't challenged the text messages either, saying that don't talk about Joe Biden in text messages. We could only talk about Joe Biden's involvement in the deal with a Chinese company in person. By the way, again, we have to look into him more, but Hunter Biden's business partner just came out confirming that the emails are real and said that the big guy, that 10% equity, Hunter was setting aside 10% equity for the big guy, was Joe Biden. So to me, the issue here isn't, if this is true, does that mean Trump's less corrupt? No, Trump's one of the most corrupt people, much less presidents, in history. He's corrupt as all sin. It just came out that he's got a secret Chinese bank account. But the point is, the media's selective censorship to protect Democrats and Joe Biden. This story should have been vetted during the Democratic primary. Frankly, Bernie Sanders should have won after Joe Biden for this, because this is about corruption straight up. Did you,
that would have been even worse death sentence for Bernie, unfortunately.
I totally disagree.
If he went after for this.
Corruption is an important topic that both Democrats and populist voters, remember, a lot of people voted for Trump because he was successful.
But they don't care. They don't care about Biden's corruption. They refuse to see it.
I disagree. I think you're forgetting that 10 days before Super Tuesday, Bernie Sanders was the front runner, and Joe Biden had just lost, got crushed in Iowa, got crushed in New Hampshire, lost Nevada, and only won South Carolina because James Clyburn stepped in. I think if Bernie said, we already have a corrupt president here, are we really going to run somebody who might have made money off of his son's business dealings? I think you're wrong. But this isn't about Bernie. My point is, Jen.
But Trump they would have conflated it with like Trump got impeached because he was trying to get Hunter and Joe for this. Like it's just too messy. I think, it's either neither here nor there, but I think
we could do another live stream with the Bernie postmortem. My point is, in debates, you're looking for media moments that could go viral and will be played over and over again. Trump should have put him on the spot because, of course, the journalist is not going to do it. Say, Joe, did you meet with this Ukrainian executive or not? Yes or no? And Joe Biden is going to be forced to either lie about it or not. So I think that was a lost opportunity. I guess she kind of challenged Biden slightly on it by asking him another question, but she let him out of it. Biden pushed again the fact-free line that this is Russian disinformation because 50 people supporting me signed a letter saying it's Russian disinformation. Yeah, 50 former CIA spooks and former intelligence spooks that are Biden supporters saying this has the remnants of Russian disinformation. Okay, well, are the emails true or not? Remember that Hillary Clinton, I remember because I was on the road covering the campaign, Hillary Clinton, when WikiLeaks started pumping out the Podesta emails, Hillary Clinton's campaign's first response was the emails aren't authentic. Well, they were. So it's just, honestly, Jen, it's a terrible thing we just had to watch because there's no there's no substance. They didn't even talk about the fact that there's been 3 months, Jen, 3 months since the $600 unemployment expired. They talked about nothing of substance. They're both liars. It's really whose lies a little less and who's less vile. That's what people are voting on.
Yeah. Yeah, they're voting on like the less vile person, like the good old uncle or grandpa figure. It's going to bring back to decency, and that's what we need in this country. Which, I guess it's better to have some decency than what Trump brings to the table, but there are much more important issues there than Joe Biden giving some fancy answers. It was really discouraging and disappointing. It's what we expected, though. I didn't expect anything different than what we saw. It's, the final debate definitely did not go out with a bang. I think it was pretty much nobody moved the needle. Nothing really crazy happened. Like, I don't even know what the headlines would be out of this.
I also got to say, anything else you want to say? Because I know you say I go on too long.
You never would do that. Bucks in the super chat. I want to mention that. Keep the super chats coming. Also, Jane DX PDX 4.99 in the super chat. Biden's plans will take government money to work, but the money is printed and given away to the rich, so why not?
And I'll also say, just like I think Bernie cost himself the primary, I think Bernie, if Bernie would have done 2 or 3 things differently, I think he would have won the primary. I also think he would have won if Elizabeth Warren wasn't such a selfish asshole and would have dropped out after New Hampshire. But I digress.
I'm of the opinion like they were never going to let him win. Now I think that for sure they were never going to let him win.
Is a subjective term. He was winning. He would.
And if he did, I don't want to say what I think would have happened.
Yeah, you
to
think
him,
they would have JFK'd him? I get it, but
Bobbied him.
JFK'd him. But the thing is, if Trump loses, there's 2 reasons he lost. Number one, his disastrous handling of coronavirus, and let's just remember. Over 220,000 people have died. I think we just have become numb to the number. That's more than Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, many other wars combined. And they're projecting now that we might have close to 400,000 by the end of the year. I mean, there's no word for it. Horrific. I mean, the human toll here is horrific. Not just the people who have died, but the families left behind, right? So that's the real reason Trump's going to lose. But there's also another reason he's not going to lose. He forgot why he won in the first place. He forgot why he won in 2016, which was being a phony populist and attacking your opponent as just a pro-NAFTA, pro-TPP, pro-globalization elitist. That's how he ran against Hillary Clinton, and I can tell you because I was in those Midwest states, that's why he won. It wasn't Russia. It wasn't James Comey, which like wine moms like to say. It was NAFTA, and there's data to support it. Again, I'll say it again. If you looked at the exit polls in Ohio, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, the top 2 issues were, number 1 issue was trade, meaning NAFTA. It destroyed that whole region, and TPP. And the other issue is immigration, which Trump was successful in linking trade and immigration. Trump barely went after in the first debate, I didn't hear it at all. But he barely went after Biden in this debate on him helping pushing NAFTA, which decimated those states, the closed down plants, the communities that were destroyed because so much of the economic engine was those manufacturing workers whose money supported other businesses by shopping. He didn't go after the fact that Biden, as of last year, was for TPP. The fact that Biden, if he becomes president, will 100% pass TPP. He'll change one sentence and it'll be the gold standard again. TPP will be the final nail in the coffin of organized labor in this country. People have forgotten about it because there's so many other catastrophes. But TPP would be a disaster. The AFL-CIO, when Obama was pushing it, said this would be the final nail in organized labor and unions' coffin, even though Obama was advertising it as some wonderful thing to bring us together with China or compete against China. I don't know. But Trump has arrows to point, and he doesn't use them. I don't know which consultants were in his ear if you try and frame this 78 half-lucid man as a socialist Trojan horse, that's the meal ticket. Nobody believes that Joe Biden is a socialist Trojan horse. Most people voting for him believe that he's a Republican, and they like it. So I don't know. I just think Trump, I mean, I don't care. I want Trump to lose, but it's just unbelievable to me because he had such great political instincts in 2016, and his political instincts in this debate and the first debate and in general have been wrong. They've been wrong.
Yeah, I think they have been wrong. He's nowhere. When I envisioned what his campaign would look like in the general election, I did not expect this. I thought he would, in certain cases, like out left Biden. I thought he might rebrand Medicare for All for the Republicans so that they swallow that pill. And I thought that he would continue with a populist message, but he did none of those things. And yeah, I think Jordan, you're right. He has, he's lost support, but it does still scare me a lot that the people who do support him do so vigorously, if that's the right word. We were talking about it when we were in Wisconsin, where going to and interviewing Trump supporters that time felt so different from 2016. They're much deeper in and much more brainwashed.
And by the way, just to update,
I don't know what that means for the election.
Just to update the story, we'll look more into it after this and talk about it tomorrow. Hold on. Screen is messed up. Wall Street Journal just reported Hunter Biden's ex-business partner alleges father knew about his Chinese venture. Former vice president says he had no involvement. Corporate records reviewed by the Wall Street Journal show no role for Joe Biden. So I'm not going to read this story because I want to keep it on the debate, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. And this is good. If the Wall Street Journal has actually investigated it and found that Biden didn't have any role, great. I'm all for it if it's true, if it could be debunked. If Biden was not, double dipping or somehow benefiting off of his son Hunter's business dealings. The point was, why was this story censored in the first place when there was no evidence that it was Russian disinformation, when there was no evidence that the emails were fake or anything like that? It's selective censorship. The corporate media and the same outlets that refused to talk about it, refused to report on it, that called it possible Russian disinformation, they, for 4 years, have ran with equally dubious, if not more suspicious stories on Russian bounties on U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. No evidence. Let's run with it. On Russia hacking Vermont's electricity grid. No evidence. Was later debunked.
One.
The Washington Post didn't even retract it. I mean, there's story after story on Russia and Trump based on single anonymous sources that sound like, Rocky movies, Rocky versus that Russian fighter. And they pushed it. Facebook didn't suppress it, i.e. hide it. Twitter didn't block you from actually tweeting it. They pushed it into their hashtags and trending areas. It's just selective censorship. And why it's dangerous, and I fought with some people about it, some resistance folks on Twitter. Why it's dangerous? If they get away with censoring this now to help Biden, guess what? Let's advance to year 2024. President Kamala Harris is running for re-election. I don't. It's 2 weeks before the Iowa caucus. Progressive challenger, I don't know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Nina Turner, let's say, is running against Kamala Harris. Damaging story comes out about Kamala Harris as president. She didn't divest from certain things, and her made her family a lot of business, and maybe made some decisions that either directly or indirectly helped her family business. I'm just making this up. Same thing happens. Twitter blocks it from passing on. Facebook suppresses it, citing some vague, we don't know if it's true, so we can't let it go. And Kamala Harris, President Harris, doesn't have to answer for it when a different story goes out on progressive challenger AOC, who the polls say is currently leading going into the Iowa caucus. I don't know, let's say that she did some shady shit on taxes. Well, that story conveniently gets elevated, doesn't get blocked by these same outlets. That's where we're headed with this selective censorship. That's where we're headed. So you might like it now because you don't care. Jordan, screw the journalistic integrity. We need Trump to lose. We don't, we'll have the discussion after the fact about journalism and censorship, but we want Trump to lose. I had this discussion with my cousin today who wants Trump to lose. And it's just like, I get it. I'm not saying Biden doesn't stink. It isn't corrupt, but there's no evidence, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, right, do you have evidence that this is Russian disinformation? Do you even have a hint other than CNN telling you so? Do you not find it suspicious that Joe Biden's campaign didn't firmly deny that he ever met with his Ukrainian executive? Jen, if you accuse me of meeting with an oil executive from a foreign country and then trying to get a prosecutor fired who was investigating that oil company, if I never met with the person, I would say, you're a fucking liar. I never met with this person. Prove it that I met with this person. I wouldn't say, well, I don't have it on my calendar that I met with this person. I mean, it's outrageous. Sorry, I'm getting a little heated.
No, it's true. It is completely outrageous, and like you say, certain people, hashtag resistance Twitter, they don't get it and they don't care that. It's cliche to say it's a slippery slope, but it is. It's a really slippery slope. And if journalists are purposely holding back information or putting forward information they know is not correct, which I think is happening a lot, I don't have proof of that, but I think there's a lot of machinations in the background producing hoping to produce a certain outcome in this election in favor of Joe Biden. So everybody should care and shouldn't want this, as you call it, Jordan, the selective censorship, which this is. It's crazy to me that it's so easy for these outlets to say, oh, this is Russian disinformation, this hard drive of Hunter Biden's, it's Russian disinformation, without evidence. Why is that okay? Why have we moved to a place where in people's minds, in liberals' minds, in resistance Twitter's minds, why is it okay to call something Russian disinformation if there are no facts surrounding that? And I think what a lot of liberals and Democrats don't understand is they too fall prey to propaganda. It's easy to point to Trump supporters and Trump fans and say, you guys are just brainwashed lunatics because you're believing these lies and you're believing this propaganda and this news outlets, your Tucker Carlsons, your I don't know, Gavin McInnes, your Crowder, or whatever, your Cernovich. They're shaping things in a very specific way for Trump supporters. Well, that's happening on the other end too. It's just that liberals don't see it. Neither side sees it. But liberals don't understand that they too are eating or they're being fed propaganda and they're falling for it and they don't care. They don't look outside the and it's interesting, like Jordan's gotten into some Twitter spats about this, and so has Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, journalists who haven't. Glenn Greenwald, like he's a purist on this, which I think is good and admirable. But it's it's insane that there is a fight. There shouldn't even be a fight among journalists about this topic. If it's news, if it's true, report it. Don't label it things it's not. Don't propagandize it. You're a journalist. Do your job. It's so frustrating that that people don't care if it benefits the liberal side.
Well, I also think the bottom line is you either are consistent with your measurements and your vetting for publishing stories or not, or you're selective. So let's look at two stories. You got the Joe Biden, Hunter Biden email thing, right? And I don't know, Russian bounties on U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. Two stories, okay? The Joe Biden, Hunter Biden thing is based on emails that the New York Post said they went through and vetted. Joe Biden's campaign, the emails allude to Joe Biden meeting with a Ukrainian executive from Burisma, and then a year later interjecting to get a Ukrainian prosecutor fired who was investigating Burisma, who, by the way, his son was on the board making $50,000 a year to do nothing and had no expertise.
A month.
What's that?
$50,000
a month, right. So there's that story. These same people are saying, no, we don't know if the emails are true. We don't know about the laptop. We need more information. We need to look closer at it before we publish it. So we have that.
Yeah.
Same people. Facebook, Twitter, CNN, MSNBC, Rachel Maddow. An anonymous intelligence source says the U.S. intelligence agencies have credible information that Russia put bounties on U.S. soldiers' heads in Afghanistan. Who are the sources? Intel, anonymous intel. What is their intel? What is their evidence? Did they intercept communications? Do they have like a mole in Russia? What is the intel? Oh, we can't talk about it. Source and methods. You know, they always say sources and methods. Okay, so we have anonymous intel officials, Intel, CIA. Their job is to, I don't know, lie. We don't, we have nothing else to go on. Let's lead the Rachel Maddow show with it. Let's trend it on Twitter. Let's trend it on Facebook. Let's do fundraising. Joe Biden's campaign literally did fundraising campaigns off the Russian bounties. I think Biden talked about it on The View, right? Two stories. Frankly, I think the Russian bounties one was more suspicious than the Hunter Biden thing because, again, the emails, the New York Post is not like InfoWars, okay? They do vet a little bit. Yeah, they're conservative, but the Daily Caller has done stories that were true. Fox News has done some stories that were true. So Joe Biden's campaign did not deny the emails. They didn't challenge the emails. Again, we don't see it on the schedule. Yeah, the mafia doesn't usually put on the schedule, here's the deal. Here's where we're meeting to drop the bodies. I mean, it's just crazy to me. Yes, the Russian bounties were debunked, Jordan. And I don't know, I didn't hear it, but you said you might have heard Biden referencing the Russian bounties.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, all of these people are full of shit.
It's crazy.
Yes, Trump is corrupt. To me, Trump's got to go. I know a lot of viewers don't agree with me. I'm not telling you how to vote. You vote however you want. I'm not voter shaming. I don't think it's my role or Jen's role to tell you what to do. I'm literally voting for Biden while shitting on Biden. I just have to keep my integrity and continue to cover him honestly, while personally coming to the decision that as corrupt as he is, as part of the system as he is, I'd rather deal with a corrupt warmonger than somebody that I think is a psychopath fascist. I think Trump's a psychopath. I think he's a fascist. I think he's got delusions of grandeur. And I think 4 more years, frankly, judging by the jokes he keeps talking about, 8 more years, serving more than 2 terms.
Yay.
I don't think we're left with either choice. You could say, Jordan, you're voting for the lesser of 2 evils, whatever. Maybe you're right. In this case, I changed my mind, not just because I changed my mind for 2 reasons. Number one, I think that when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, it's no longer hypothetical, right? The Supreme Court is going to be 6 to 3. Okay? 6 to 3. And Stephen Breyer, who is a Democratic judge, is 82 years old. Okay? If Stephen Breyer goes, then you're talking about a 7-2 Supreme Court potentially for the next 30 to 50 years. If you have a 6-3 Supreme Court, which we're about to have, but if you have a 7-2 Supreme Court, Jen, it's not going to matter what we pass. Basically, the Republicans, there's going to be another Republican Party in the Supreme Court. And they, if Medicare for all passes, I don't see how that, it could go to the Supreme Court. Unconstitutional. Why? Because we're Republicans in the Supreme Court. You think Roe versus Wade would survive a 7-2 Supreme Court? So, to me, there is no progressive movement with the 7-2 Supreme Court. Frankly, you might have to change the Constitution to dramatically change the Supreme Court. So to me, that is a major thing that I don't think it's voting lesser of two evils. That's legitimately, you could have Republican rule over the Supreme Court. Not just like 5-4, 7-2, potentially. And then I saw how he acted during having coronavirus. Going around taking joyrides for 10 minutes outside of Walter Reed. Putting Secret Service, your Secret Service aides at risk so you could leave the hospital and look like you're fine. And then it was almost like watching a James Bond villain, Jen. He, with coronavirus, still contagious, walks up the White House stairs, takes off his mask, and then walks into the White House without a mask. This is not a sociopath. That is a psychopath. Now, you can devil's advocate. You say, well, Jordan, Joe Biden's a psychopath in a different way. Yeah, maybe you're right. All I know, I'd rather the devil I know than the devil I don't know. Biden, I'd rather fight Biden and Neera Tanden. I'd rather fight Biden and, the wine moms. I'd rather fight Biden and David Brock than fight Donald Trump and the Proud Boys and, these lunatics that we're covering at these Trump rallies and the growing QAnon. That's what we're left with. It's not great. And honestly, I also think, and I know Jimmy feels this way, that if you continue to tell Democrats you could abuse us, corporate Democrats, but we'll still give you your vote, they're never going to change. Honestly, I don't particularly think, even if all of us withhold our vote for the Democratic Party and they lost again, I don't really think they're changing because Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, and the corporate Democrats are all corporate political dinosaurs. You think they're going to learn their lesson if you withhold your vote and they're going to start to move to your direction? No, they're bought off. They're corrupt, Jen.
No, because they'll just continue to grift.
Right, it's a grift.
Yeah, they'll just continue to collect money.
So I think, bottom line, the only way you're going to teach them their lesson is to remove them from office. That's how you teach them their lesson. That's how you change the Democratic Party. I understand different people feel a different way. Some people want third party. I got to tell you the truth. I like, Nick Brana seems all right to me. I think MPP is, heads in the clouds. I don't think it's realistic. Look at how Andrew Cuomo in New York is trying to get rid of the Working Families Party and third party. Look at how they've attacked the Democratic Party. It has been successful at getting Howie Hawkins kicked off the ballot in many states, and that's the Green Party. You think all of a sudden MPP is magically going to get on all the ballots by 2024? Hey, I'm not trying to be like your 65-year-old wine mom and tell you, eat your broccoli, nothing is possible. I'm not saying not to try. I'm just saying I watched their convention, the MPP convention. It was wonderful. I loved all the speakers. They don't have an answer for ballot access. They really don't. They have an answer for how we're going to organize and grow this. They don't have an answer for ballot access. And until you tell me, you don't have to sell me on your ideas, MPP or other parties. You have to sell me on how are you going to seize power. Bernie sold me on the ideas. He inspired me. He didn't know how to seize power because he didn't know how to go for the jugular.
I'm really cautious of MPP, and I don't want to, hit on anyone, but I think when you're collecting money and promising a new party, you need to have extreme extraordinarily detailed plans as to how you're going to do this. They kind of have plans, but not really. As Jordan says, they don't have ballot access plans. And when you're saying you're going to be the biggest party in 4 years, that's not realistic. How can you collect money based on that sort of promise, giving people hope? So maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am. Maybe they will turn out to be the big thing in 2024. And I do appreciate that people are working hard, that people really believe in it. But I do want a third party. I want to make that really clear. I don't think the Green Party's it. I hope MPP could be it. I don't think it will be. I hope I'm wrong and I'll eat my words. We need a real plan, a real structured plan. And the two-party system isn't going to go down easy by any means. It's held up by all the money in the country and all these corporations. And it's really two sides of the same coin collecting cash, lining their pockets, lining their bank accounts. So I'm disenchanted with the current third parties. But I'm the same way. Jordan and I both kind of came to this conclusion around the same time, I think, because it was when RBG had similar thoughts. I actually took my oldest son to DC and we covered the vigil and stuff. He was my camera boy, but just talking to him about the importance of the Supreme Court and trying to teach him how important that is and how they make decisions and what is at stake if the court becomes more conservative, and that 7-2 just strikes my heart with fear that that's a possibility. I decided I can't stomach doing anything but voting for Joe Biden. And before that, I was going to write Bernie, do a protest vote. I'm in a safe blue state. But I can't do it. Trump is too dangerous. Trump is a psycho. He truly is. He's a psycho-fascist. He needs to go. I understand that people don't understand that. Jordan, I don't know if Anat sent you the Reddit thread about you, your vote.
About me?
But she sent that this morning. Yeah.
There's a Reddit thread on me?
So like about you voting for Biden, like saying you're going to vote for Biden. So
I didn't even know about this.
Like the TYT out of him, stuff like that. It's ridiculous. The thread. Actually, there was one that was a particularly crazy. Let me see if I can find it. But I came to the same conclusion. I understand that people don't feel the same. I think everyone has to make their own decision. We're not telling you how to vote. But I simply cannot stomach doing anything else. Not for me. I'll probably be fine no matter who wins. I feel, I am privileged in that way. But thinking of other people, and thinking of the climate, that alone, it's horrifying. It's scary. Trump has to go. So this is one of the comments, Jordan, about you on the Reddit. And he cried uncle. The man who got bullied by private armies at Standing Rock under Obama cried uncle. The man who knows the Democrats are using Trump as a book uncle. Thinks the left or cop Mala. Again, see Obama, of whom Biden was VP. You get one good shot and then they either turn you or burn you. Seems like he's been turned. Was a good run, Jordan. Wish him the best. Like, what is wrong with people?
Well, first of all, I'm honored that there was a Reddit thread about me. I didn't know that my voting decision was Reddit worthy. I don't know if it was like, I don't really know how Reddit works. I'm not down with the tech so much. But if it was an active thread with a lot of people, I'm honored that people care so much. Secondly, I think progressives in general. And I think there's certain YouTube hosts fomenting this kind of extremism. But I think progressives in general have gotten to this extreme point where if you don't agree with me 100%, you're a sellout. Like, grow up. Are you 16 years old? Okay? Unlike the Young Turks, my former employer, I'm not actively sending you emails fundraising for Joe Biden. They've literally sent that emails fundraising for Joe Biden. Unlike the Young Turks, I'm not, and they did this in 2016 with Hillary, I'm not like saying I'm going to hold my nose and vote for Joe Biden and then choosing not to critically cover Joe Biden. If you're watching Status Coup, literally nothing has changed since I announced I'm personally voting for Joe Biden, because I could separate, I'm going to forget holding my nose. I'm going to have to drink a lot of whiskey before I drop off that ballot. But I'm still going to cover him and the Democratic Party as critically as I would. I don't believe like journalism is a calendar thing where you turn it off for 3 months or 2 weeks before the election. But at the end of the day, I think what people are missing, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, yes, I think it's more dangerous if it's Trump. What the actual change we want to see, I think we need to learn this more. And I don't think I truly got it until really this cycle, this year, 2020. We're not getting what we want only through electoral politics. Even if Trump won and you got your way, oh, we're pure, we didn't vote for Biden, and now the Democratic Party has to reform because they lost twice. You're living in the clouds if you think the Democratic Party is going to reform, even if Trump wins again and progressives withheld their vote. They're not reforming because they're corrupt. They're only going to reform by being defeated. But putting all that aside, we're not getting the change we want to see unless we hit the real power, the real decision makers where it hurts. It's not Biden. It's not the Democratic Party. It's their donors. It's the corporation. We don't live in a country. We live in the United Corporations of America. Hello? We live in the United Corporations of America. So you're not going to get the Democrats to do anything. You're not going to get Trump or the Republicans to do anything on health, significant, on health care, on UBI, on climate change, on police brutality, on systemic racism, on, name your issue, minimum wage. You're not on the Electoral College, which needs to go, on term limits, which needs to happen, until you threaten Jeff Bezos' wealth. To be clear, not Jeff Bezos' life. I'm not talking about violence. We don't want that. Until you threaten Jeff Bezos' wealth, until you threaten the Walton family's wealth, until you threaten Daniel Gilbert's wealth, until you threaten, Donald Sussman's wealth, a mega Democratic Party donor, until you threaten Ron Mercer's wealth. I think it's Ron Mercer. He was the mega donor to Trump in 2012. Until you threaten all of the guests on CNBC and their wealth. Until you threaten the donor's wealth. I'll use the example one more time. Sorry if you've heard it before. The CEO, the owner of the now Washington football team, used to be called a name that was insensitive and racist towards Native Americans. He said a decade ago, over my dead body, we're not changing the name. No, we're not changing the name. Well, guess what happened? There was a pressure campaign on the Washington football team sponsors, including FedEx and other sponsors, to change the name. There was so much heat and so much pressure where it was actually threatening the sponsors' bottom line through Black Lives Matter and some indigenous groups that they went to the owner of the Washington football team and said, you got to change this name or we're pulling our money. And guess what? They changed the name. They haven't decided what the new name will be, but now they call it the Washington football team. That could happen all over America. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you get a couple, start with 5,000, grow it to 20,000 people, to boycott Amazon, not for a day, but just boycott it, stop using it, period. To maybe put in a pot of money. Everybody donates, instead of donating to Amy McGrath and pissing your money away, donating to a pot so Amazon workers could strike. Mm-hmm. And that money in that pot goes to those Amazon workers. Sure, devil's advocate, well, Jordan, there's tens of millions of people who are unemployed. They'll just be the strike breakers and go work for Amazon. You're possibly right, but we don't know until we try. Until you put in money in that pot for single mothers working at McDonald's, Burger King, name your fast food restaurant. We stopped going to fast food restaurants. Until you find a way that tens of thousands of people pull their money out of mainstream banks. you'll get change, and you'll get it very quickly. Because the wealthy in this country, they don't look in terms of 10 years from now. They look in terms of 10 minutes from now. Quarterly profits and their short-term gains. Jen, this is what we need. It's not to say get rid of the bodies in the street. It's not to say protest, but unless you have the economic strike to go with it, we're just circling a bunch of blocks chanting. That's the truth.
I absolutely agree. I think
like it
you're
when you say
100% right. Absolutely. Jordan for president. Marilyn Montoya. That's a fun last name. $5 in the super chat. Jen, thank you for your skepticism. There are also many liberal commentators making money preaching to the choir. I give you support because you act. Thank you, Marilyn.
And can I just say,
Wonderful.
Marilyn and Jen, I think you would agree.
Also-
God bless those liberal commentators. I haven't seen one of them out there covering the Trump rallies like I just did yesterday, like Jen did. Like Jen was in Portland covering the Proud Boy circus. Jen covering a Beverly Hills MAGA circus. They're not out there. We are. So remember that. We appreciate your super chats. Sign up as a Status Coup member for as low as $5 a month. Statuscoup.com/join.
Yeah. Woohoo! Rhonda Boy, $5 in the super chat. The left must protest Biden being sworn in with a much larger crowd than the fascists will.
And by the way, Jen, I don't think either of us, Jen,
know.
I don't think either of us are saying, yeah, we'll fight and move Joe Biden left. He's not moving left. He's just not.
No, he's not.
God bless you, Bernie, but you're not moving Joe Biden left. You could have your own 100-day plan that he told Crystal he had his own 100-day plan. Joe Biden ain't moving left.
Yeah.
If he didn't move left during the primary, he ain't moving left, period. You're not going to – that's why it doesn't matter about Joe Biden. You got to get the oligarchs that have bought people like Joe Biden. You got to move them, and you do it by hitting their wallets.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's the answer to everything. It is. And I don't know how people will learn that, to be effective and to actually see change. I don't know how people get that message and start to organize, because it seems like, there's protests and protests are great, but what you're talking about is a whole nother level. And honestly, I haven't heard anyone phrase it in that way.
Patrick said whiskey isn't strong enough. Thanks for the $2, Patrick. And by the way, before we sign off, I just want to remind you guys, obviously we get it. If you can't contribute, our GoFundMe is still going strong. Wow, 1 minute ago, $100 in the GoFundMe from Anonymous.
Ooh.
Anonymous. Thank you so much. And, just to specifically tell you, Jen and I are currently discussing things. The GoFundMe is to help basically keep us afloat on the road. It's tough times for everybody. A lot of people are struggling financially. We've had our own struggles financially during COVID, but we still need to grow. We can't just take a break and not travel. So Jen and I are talking about what we want to do for the election. We definitely want to cover the election in the field. Frankly, it might not be one night. It might be several days. It might be several weeks. We really don't know. We want to be out there. Obviously, we got to be out there, safely. I mean, if cases skyrocket, Jen's got kids. I got a wifey now. So it's not just us we have to think about. We need to be safe. We're not going to just gallivant around the country if coronavirus cases are skyrocketing. But we want to be out there in the field. This Saturday, for example, I'm covering a story I promise you corporate media will not cover. Do you know in Queens, in New York, for almost a month, a public housing building has been without gas? They've had no gas in their public housing apartment. They are literally getting from some New York department one hot meal a day.
Jesus.
There's no gas. And the tenants, there's people are delivering food to them. So while poor people in New York City have no gas and thus can't have hot meals and can't have heat as the temperature gets colder, the billionaires have made nearly $700 billion more during the pandemic. So I'm going to go cover this on Saturday. I was just out covering this Trump, whatever the hell that was, yesterday. And we got more clips from that.
There were some epic moments for sure from that.
That's why we
wild.
need you. GoFundMe. Join us as a member. We need you. And new membership perk. Maybe tell them a little bit more about the Discord, Jen.
Yeah, actually, I want, I don't know if you can show it on your screen in a second. I want to get through these super
Okay.
chats so they don't disappear, and then I'll talk more about the Discord. Comrade Rick, $5 in the super chat. Hello, Preach Jordan. On that point, thoughts on the rumors that Bernie wants Biden to choose him for Secretary of Labor?
I think I
I think that would be good.
I love Bernie Sanders, and pass me what you're smoking.
You don't think Biden would
I think
ever
Bernie's
do
gonna
it?
have a hard time getting a parking pass in a Biden White House, much less become. I'm not mocking him. I'm not mocking him. I love Bernie. Where is oh,
Yeah,
here it
I
is.
know.
Mount Bernie.
Little Bernie.
But
Aw, you've had that since 2016.
yeah,
I
he's
think.
not making you labor secretary. Give me a break. Unless Bernie is a better
Aw,
political
poor Bernie.
mover than we know, and behind the scenes, he's already got that agreement from Biden. I very much doubt it. If he becomes labor secretary, that would be wonderful. But I just seriously doubt that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Swirly Swirl, $5 in the super chat. We need to lock up more courts. Yes, people are doing that. I want to cover one of those eventually. One that is easy to get to. But what was it? New like locking up the court for against evictions. Very, very good stuff. Okay, so what we're talking about, we have a new perk for members, which is so exciting. If you are a member, check your email because I sent you a link to join our Discord. And a Discord is basically like, it's like Slack or like an internet forum, whatever. Jordan says it reminded him of like the AOL chat, the old AIM chats. So it's a place where you 24/7 can connect with other Status Coup members and us. We pop in there. There's a voice chat section. I did a voice chat yesterday with people, just talking to people, answering questions, asking questions, just getting to know folks. And they're chatting and all kinds of stuff happening. We emojis in the Discord, so I think that's a reason enough to join. But it's just one of the perks that you get as a member for just $5 a month. Statuscoup.com/join. I don't know. Can you show it on your screen or no? Because it's tricky to switch.
I could show it, but they won't hear you. So let me show it now. Here is our Discord. It's popping right now. So we got a couple people saying good night because it is 11:30 Eastern time. But we got a couple different chats. You got the general chat, politics, in the news, suggestions for Status Coup, share your picks, not picks with clothing, obviously. Activist organizing, progressive content. I'm sure we'll be adding more. We'll be adding some non-political categories like, I don't know, something silly. But it's fun. And, you don't have to be in it all day. I dip in and out as best I can. We will have some longer chats where, like I just announced, I'll be on the Discord for an hour. Not tonight, but in general. But I think it kind of creates a stronger community or Coup community for us with the members. And honestly, the truth is, I think Jen and I have talked about this privately. We need your ideas. We get them during the monthly members call, but some people were mentioning some things yesterday to me that I thought were good ideas, not just for stories, but ways to grow. So we want this to be as interactive as possible. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, Jen and I are both very busy. We won't be in it every day, but we will be in it as much as we can. And I think it's a great new thing, and I think it's a great new perk of membership. And again, it's $5 a month to be a Status Coup member. I don't want to minimize it. Right now, times are tough. You might not have an extra $5 a month for anything. But if you have $5 a month, prorated or half-rated, 16 cents a day, I think it's better spent on us than whatever corporate Democrat you might be. Well, most of you aren't, but I think it would be better spent. You could think of something you're spending $5 on a month that's better spent on Status Coup. What do you think, Jen?
I 100% agree. It really, you might think, $5, it's not worth it. It's not that much. Like, it won't help Status Coup that much. I promise you it helps us because it adds up. we were on our way to 2,000 members before COVID hit. And that was really a number we were trying to hit because a more comfortable position where we don't constantly have to be fundraising, like we can kind of subsist and do our in-field reporting. Obviously, we want many, many more members than that, but 2,000 was definitely a goal, and we have that goal now. We get so excited about because, for one thing, you're part of the community. Kudos to Anat for coming up with that cool name, and you're part of something bigger because, like, without you, Jordan and I couldn't have done the Vice Flint story that we did. We couldn't have reported on, when Jordan went to South Bend to report on what actually was going on in Mayor Pete's South Bend. We have covered so many things, and that is because of you. So your $5 literally helps in-field and investigative reporting in a style that no one else is doing. There's no one else doing it like we are. There's plenty of great commentators that we know and love and appreciate, but the style of Status Coup it doesn't exist. We've carved out our own niche. So statuscoup.com/join. $5.
So, Jen, I'm a little tired. It's past my bedtime. I don't know about you.
I know it's so late. It's we've been going for a
Yes.
while, for sure. So I think tomorrow's Friday, so we're gonna be live today.
When are we going on Abby?
Jordan?
When are we going on Abby Martin?
Oh, true. We won't be live because it's 4, so
We're going live at 4
overlap
o'clock with Eastern.
with Abby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Eastern. So one
Okay,
one
so
her
yeah,
time.
we're going on Abby's podcast tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. So, depending how long that goes, I might go live after that. We'll see. But looking forward to going on Abby's podcast. Jen and I are going on.
It's called Media Roots. It's so great. You guys should definitely check it out. And then Saturday, what time should they look for you Saturday from Astoria?
I'll be live Saturday around 12:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Pacific. So it's a really interesting. It's a really it's a story that needs to be covered. These poor people have been without gas in their building for a month, and there's going to be tenants there. There's a community leader I'm going to be interviewing. It's an important story that I promise you, CNN will not be covering. It's barely being covered in local media, but these are the downtrodden. This is why Status Coup exists. It costs money. We got to pay our cameraman, John. Each time we go out there, we got to pay him. Obviously, I need to eat. Jen needs to eat. Colin needs to eat. We have travel needs, broadcasting costs. We pay over $500 a month just for our live view. Even when we're not traveling that much, we have to pay for the live view. There's advertising need. I mean, there's a lot of needs, and we don't take money from the oligarchy. We don't take money from the banks, the fossil fuckers, big pharma, big real estate, Silicon Valley, military industrial complex, and the rest. So we need you.
Whoa.
So keep it coming. Sign up as a member, and the GoFundMe is super, super appreciated. Any parting words, Jen?
This is the first time that we've done kind of a running commentary on a debate. It's obviously the last debate, but there may be other times where we do something like this. So let us know if you liked it. Sign up as a member. Support us in the GoFundMe. And tell your friends and family about us, because really word of mouth is the best way for us to grow in the face of massive social media suppression. And you guys are the OGs. You guys are amazing. Truly, you care about news like this, about journalism like this. So we appreciate you and we love you.
Peace out.
Bye, guys.